In the first few seconds, something subtle happens. A moment so small most men miss it. A hug that lasts 1 second too long. A breath that slows. A pause between two bodies that suddenly feels electric. And in that silent space, attraction either awakens or disappears completely. Most people believe attraction is loud, flashy, dramatic, but real attraction is quiet. It hides inside micro-moments the human brain barely notices consciously. A hug is one of those moments. Not because of physical closeness alone, but because when two people embrace, psychological defenses drop for a few seconds. The nervous system shifts. Heart rates synchronize. Oxytocin, the hormone linked to bonding and trust, begins to rise. And when that happens, the mind becomes unusually sensitive to emotional signals. But here is the truth most men misunderstand. It is not the hug itself that creates desire. It is the emotional energy you carry into it. A hug from someone who seeks validation feels empty. A hug from someone grounded in himself feels different, calm, present. Unrushed, women are highly sensitive to emotional presence because their brains naturally scan for emotional safety before attraction deepens. When you hug her with tension, neediness, or hidden desperation, her subconscious notices immediately. But when you hug her with quiet confidence, something shifts. You step closer, not rushed, not hesitant. Your arms wrap around her in a way that feels natural, not calculated. And for a brief moment, the world around both of you fades slightly. This moment matters more than you think. 'Cause human touch communicates information. The brain processes faster than words. Studies in behavioral psychology show that simple physical contact can transmit emotions like trust, warmth, and reassurance within milliseconds. The nervous system reads intention through pressure, rhythm, and stillness. That's why the biggest mistake men make during a hug is movement without awareness. They treat the moment like a social ritual quick, but attraction rarely grows in mechanical moments. It grows in presence, in stillness, in subtle signals that say without words, I am comfortable in my own energy. When you hug her, the first thing that matters is the way you arrive emotionally. Your breathing is calm. Your shoulders relaxed. You're not rushing to prove anything. You're not clinging. You're simply there. And this emotional state alone can change the entire feeling of the interaction. Because attraction is deeply connected to emotional regulation. People who remain calm and centered activate a sense of intrigue in others. It suggests strength, stability, and self-control. Now, imagine the moment from her perspective. She steps into the hug expecting the usual polite gesture. But something about it feels different. You're not squeezing too tightly. You're not pulling away immediately either. The hug lasts just long enough for the nervous system to register comfort. This timing is important because the human brain begins releasing bonding hormones after a few seconds of sustained contact. Too short, and it feels distant. Too long, and it becomes awkward. But when it's natural, the body relaxes. And in that relaxation, attraction has space to breathe. Your hands rest naturally on her upper back, not wondering, not forcing anything. That calm restraint is powerful because boundaries create emotional safety. And paradoxically, emotional safety is one of the strongest foundations of desire. When someone feels respected and comfortable, their mind stops scanning for threats. Instead, curiosity takes over. There is a subtle psychological principle at work here. Attraction grows strongest in moments where comfort and mystery coexist. Too much intensity feels overwhelming. Too much distance feels cold. But a balanced moment, warm, calm, slightly lingering, creates emotional tension. During that hug, your presence communicates something deeper than physical contact. It communicates emotional control. And emotional control is one of the most underestimated elements of attraction psychology. People who appear internally grounded send a signal of stability. They are not chasing approval. They are not trying to impress. They simply exist with quiet confidence. Women often respond to that energy instinctively, because the brain interprets emotional stability as a form of strength. Not loud strength, not aggressive dominance, but calm strength. The kind that makes someone feel both relaxed and curious at the same time. And sometimes, the smallest detail changes everything. A slight pause before pulling away, a relaxed breath, the subtle awareness that you're not rushing to escape the moment. These tiny signals tell the subconscious mind that the interaction is genuine, not performative, not manipulative, just real. Human behavior research shows that authenticity is one of the strongest drivers of emotional attraction. People can sense when someone is trying too hard. They can also sense when someone is comfortable being exactly who they are. That comfort becomes magnetic because it reflects inner peace. But here is where deeper psychology enters the picture. Many men believe physical closeness alone creates desire. Yet the truth is far more complex. Desire grows from emotional contrast. The brain becomes intrigued when someone feels both safe and slightly unpredictable. Not unpredictable in behavior, but in emotional depth. When you hug her and remain calm, present, and detached from needing any specific reaction, it creates a quiet, psychological tension. She may not consciously analyze the moment, but her mind notices something different, something calm, something that doesn't chase. And sometimes that difference lingers in her thoughts long after the hug ends. Because attraction rarely appears like a lightning strike. More often, it grows like a slow fire. A feeling that something about a person feels intriguing, grounded, slightly mysterious. The mind begins replaying small moments, trying to understand why they felt different. There is also another layer of psychology happening during physical closeness. Emotional mirroring. Humans unconsciously mirror the emotional states of people they interact with. If you feel nervous, that tension transfers subtly through posture and breathing. But if you feel calm, confident, and relaxed, that emotional state spreads just as easily. This is why self-awareness matters more than technique. The hug itself is not a trick. It is simply a moment where your emotional state becomes visible without words. And that leads to a deeper truth many overlook. Real attraction cannot be forced through actions alone. It grows from internal alignment. When your mind is centered, when you are comfortable with silence, when you respect both your own boundaries and hers. The interaction naturally carries a different energy. One psychological insight worth remembering is this: attraction often intensifies when someone senses quiet self-control rather than pursuit. When you finally release the hug, the moment ends naturally. No lingering awkwardness. Nusadanhashi. Just a calm transition back into space. And sometimes that calm exit is what leaves the strongest impression. Because the human brain remembers emotional contrasts. If a moment feels slightly deeper than expected, the mind becomes curious. Curiosity leads to attention. Attention can slowly transform into attraction. But none of this works if it comes from manipulation. People eventually sense intention beneath behavior. If the goal is simply to provoke a reaction, the moment loses authenticity. Real connection grows only when the interaction respects emotional boundaries. And this is where mental strength becomes essential. A man who is emotionally centered does not depend on reactions to feel valuable. He does not analyze every moment, hoping to spark instant desire. Instead, he focuses on self-respect, patience, and genuine presence. Ironically, this detachment often creates the strongest attraction because it removes pressure from the interaction. When you stop trying to force moments, the right moments happen naturally. A hug becomes just a hug. But within that simplicity, something deeper can appear. A quiet awareness between two people. A feeling neither of you fully explains. And maybe that is the real secret hidden inside human attraction. Not techniques. Not strategies. Just presence, strong enough to be felt without words. Because sometimes the most powerful moments in human connection are the ones that pass quietly. No dramatic gesture. No obvious signal. Just two people standing close for a few seconds. And some of you step away. The world continues. Nothing dramatic happens. Yet later that night, when everything is quiet, she might remember the moment for reasons she cannot quite explain. And perhaps that is the strange beauty of human psychology. The smallest moments often echo the longest.